then we won't say anything, because that's our favorite thing to do on this show is skip it. Welcome to Tunnel Talk, No Facts, All Feelings Wrestling Podcast. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah.
Oh, how's everybody doing this week?
Great.
Ann, how's the situation at home?
Bat Watch 2024. Well, now...
Bat Watch. I received a letter from the health department letting me know that my bat son was rabies negative, so I was not exposed to rabies. So that was
did they say
exciting.
how he's liking his new home on the farm?
They said his brain slices looked good and there was no rabies in there.
So they sent him right. So they sent him right to the farm.
Yeah, and he is happy. That is where he's happy.
Yep.
I don't understand why you get so cagey every time this comes up, yeah. It's a little confusing.
How do I just answer the question that he is having fun at the farm?
I didn't tell you something about when I dropped him off because I didn't want to upset you. So
and continue.
Okay. Yeah. That's my...
And continue not telling me things that I don't want to know.
It's not for us, no.
The form had some boxes killed and dead, and a third box that was safe on a farm, and that's the one they checked.
I had a feeling that's what it would be.
Of course it would be.
It's so good they checked that box. Yeah, because he was a good little bat, and he still is. We are now calling 2024 the Year of the Bat.
Year of the Bat.
And that means good luck. It means good things are coming.
Yeah. He's brought good fortune to everyone.
Many of our friends. Yeah.
Many of our friends.
We've taken your trauma and we have turned it into a fun, happy, positive meme that's getting us through the winter, baby.
That's right. Yeah. People are getting jobs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet if you needed to get a job, I bet you could in the Year of the Bat, but you don't. You have a job that you love.
That's right.
We all love our jobs.
That's right. We've all been blessed by the bat into great jobs. So
now, Leah, I'm hesitant to do this check-in on you, but are we back in the mines?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're deep.
Yeah.
We're deep.
Deep?
We're deep in the mines.
How deep in
like
the supernatural mines are we?
Why don't I ever have Plex pulled up when you ask this question?
Should we just add like a podcast task, like set up a recurring, like at 7:30 on Thursdays, like Leah, check your supernatural status.
Check your supernatural
in your notes should have a bullet point on which episode of Supernatural. Although I guess you could watch more the next day. You know, that's
true.
Because every day we're
on
watching
deck,
Supernatural.
On deck, season 11, episode 20.
20.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Okay,
that's almost
literally a
12.
week ago you said you were taking a mental health break so you didn't get smoker slung.
And you watched SVU with us this week too, graciously.
I did.
Yeah.
And we did start Percy Jackson.
Yeah. We watched some TV.
I'm trying to take in some other air, but
sucking breath
of other terrible television.
So
this is like a smoker, like going to SVU and Percy Jackson is like a smoker going to breathe in some asbestos or something. It's like, it's not.
It's not better. It's just different cancer.
Oh my God. We're really excited. We're watching, partly watching Percy Jackson because we got to see what Big Cope's getting up to on that show. And I saw a poster that someone had tweeted and they said, Dynamite looks crazy this week. And I was like, that's so funny. I can't wait to see him do acting. I can't really imagine it. He is high in the rankings.
Yeah, he is. The rankings were really funny to look at because like they had all of the champs next to them, and then they had like the 5 top rankings, and each of them each of the top rankings had a little pair with one of the existing belts. I was like, oh, that's sweet. A little matchmaking game.
Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. Oh, that's Tony. Were you going to say something, Leah? You had a thought?
No, it wasn't an intelligent thought. You just said...
It doesn't have to be.
Now, he's high, and then you just stopped for a moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, in Percy Jackson?
Smoking so much weed in Percy Jackson.
The God of War is stoned? That doesn't seem right at all.
It's his right to have a little weed if he wants.
You think that would chill him out?
I don't know how he got so, but you know what? Okay, let's do a very, very quick check-in. We got the rankings drop on yesterday after Dynamite. I like for anything to drop. I think that's fun. I think it's fun to look forward to something dropping.
So true.
Aside from that, do you have any thoughts about the rankings? I don't have any of the critical thoughts that some might muster, but...
No, I think it's pretty funny how critical people have been. It's just like...
Get it.
People need to
out.
calm down.
People
They're
just a narrative
their
device.
minds.
They're not real, guys. None of this is real.
It's actually... Yeah, it's actually, the results are rigged. I don't know how to tell you this. Yeah, like how mad people were about the Dark Order being in the tag rankings. It's like, let them have a little shot at something. There's only 3 tag teams left in this company.
Also, OC and Greg are in the tag team rankings. Like, we don't got no tag teams anymore, okay? Don't set that aside. That's a problem for next month when Mommy's Little Bucks are wrestling again. We don't got no tag teams right now, so let them have that spot.
Let them have
Yeah,
that.
somebody's
Who are they
got to.
taking it from? Nobody. Everyone's out injured.
And like, to be clear, they have been wrestling. Like, it's not like it's not like it just they're just inventing it. Do you know the Dark Order? Because I copy the matches into our notes every single week. The Dark Order have wrestled Brandon and Colt Cabana every single week for something like 6 months.
I've bucketed those?
No, it just says dark match, and I don't include those in your thing because no.
That scared me. I was like, I know I don't pay that much attention, but I do put those in piles every week. Like, you think if I put something in a pile every day for 6 months, I would remember.
No, if it's not on TV, I don't include it. But like Cagematch does include the dark matches, which is why I know that the Dark Order has wrestled every week.
I didn't know they were doing dark matches. Like, they wrestled like before the live show I was at in November, and it was like a super fun match. You know, I had my dad with me, and he had a great time. It was like they were very fun. Brandon and Colt do great comedy wrestling, and so do Lil John Silver and Alex Reynolds. It's nice. That's cute that they're doing it every week.
It's nice, and it's a nice reward that they get to be in the rankings for like 5 minutes. So calm down.
That's true. And I wasn't dumping on the Dark Order. I was just saying that I don't care if they're made up. That's where I've landed.
Oh yeah.
Someone in our group chat was saying that like these are like supposed to resemble, or they were initially intended to resemble like college football rankings, and then they were like, and that's basically vibe based. And I almost asked a follow-up question to be like, explain that to me, because I don't know anything about sports. And then I thought, I don't care. I'd love to hear they're vibe based. I think that's great. I think they should be vibe. It should just be like Tony being like, oh, who's been cooking recently? I just put him in the rankings.
I feel like they used to put the win-loss record up with the rankings, and it's funny that they didn't. But I love with college football, it's like I just hear rumblings of like people are mad about some college football ranking. And I'm like, oh, that's too bad for them. That's nice that people have something to care about, you know, in the winter. That's nice.
And I mean, to be honest, like that is mostly how I feel about this, where I'm like, you guys seem really worried about it. What I understand is that they're going to use this to tell me a story, which is what I want.
Absolutely.
So I don't give a shit. Like, go ahead and tell me anything. Who the fuck cares? But like, the way that like I saw someone being like, oh, well, like it's crazy that like beating Ryan Nemeth has the same functional value as beating Bryan Danielson. So why would you try? And I was like, because it's your job. Like,
it's true. That's what the money is for.
That's the money for. Wrestling is fake, and you don't actually have the real option to fight Bryan Danielson or Ryan Nemeth. Tony actually tells you. He just says you have to fight Bryan Danielson. So...
And in kayfabe, he tells you that too. So it's like, you can't just go out to the parking lot and be like, I'm fighting Ryan Nemeth and I'm going to climb the rankings by beating his ass before every Dynamite personally, you know?
It's also just like, isn't that life? Isn't that life that you get out there in the workforce and like sometimes you'll have a fucking horrible challenge and the person next to you will have no challenge at all. They're coasting, but you're both getting paid a pittance in this nasty capitalist hellscape. Like,
and none of it means anything.
Life isn't fair. Life isn't fair.
And anyone who tries to tell you different, sweetheart, is selling you something.
That's right.
And also, it's like, is it more valuable to fight Brandon Cutler than Bryan Danielson? Maybe, because you're going to lose to Bryan Danielson. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're all losing to Bryan Danielson. It's a fucking moot point. You're not going to win against Bryan Danielson, so stop complaining.
I love that kayfabe could not be less dead in today's world. Like, there's no mystery left. And yet so much of the internet does not know that wrestling is fake.
No.
You guys saw Larry David's being like, wrestling fans are so stupid they think it's real, right?
Oh
and people
God.
getting so mad about it.
Recently?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, like this week he like went on some podcast or radio show or something and he was...
it's because it's the last season of Curb. I was like, why am I seeing that man everywhere? Last season. Okay, go on.
Then I saw Gen Zers being like, who is Larry David? And
I didn't like seeing
distressing. Yeah.
I'll be honest that when we saw a commercial yesterday for it being the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, I was like, that is still on? That show is still
I didn't
going?
know that.
I agree. I thought
now.
to be honest, don't cancel me, but I'm like, I think I thought it had like 5 seasons.
Yeah. It's the last
I
time
thought it was
checked
an
on
Arrested. I thought it was an Arrested Development situation.
Arrested Development. Yeah, they're kind of the same show to me, to be honest with you. And I've never watched Curbed. So anyway, what were you saying, Ann?
Oh, he just went on this podcast and he was like, yeah, I watched wrestling as a kid and then I found out it was fake and I stopped watching it. But all those people who still watch it, like, they think it's real. It's like, oh, Larry David, they really
the thing
don't.
is that he's not wrong about some of them.
Yeah, but it's like, that's an unnuanced. You stopped watching when you found out it was fake? That was the moment we were interested. When we found out it was fake, we were like, okay, no, we will stay for a while. Oh, it's made the fuck up?
Yeah. These are fictional stories?
Yeah.
All right.
If this is fictional, explain to me how this works. I'm very interested.
I think the people who had to field questions from us in the first conservatively 2 years of our time watching wrestling.
And 3 years from now, we'll say in the first 5 years.
Absolutely. But it's like, God bless you for, like, there were so many things that we would get an answer and be like, insufficient. Like, I need to know a little more about how they are cooking up this fake slop that we eat every week. Anyway, let's talk about Little Blackpool Combat Club? Okay, Blackpool Combat Club, what they've been getting up to this week. Okay, Mox opened every single AEW show this week. Did you guys know that?
The moment you said it, I was like, yes, that is what happened, because I did see him, but it didn't occur to me on my own. It didn't
register to me either. Yeah, I was like, oh God, he did. Is he okay? That's a lot of wrestling.
I double checked it like 3 times because I was like, that's crazy, but he did. So on Rampage, he fought Lee Moriarty. On Collision, he and Claudio fought Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor, who is Lee Moriarty's new father, lover, maybe, dynamic to be investigated in future. And then on Dynamite, Mox fought Jeff Hardy. I don't think anybody knows why. Jeff Hardy is just like getting pretty busy recently. So
Tony was really like, 2024 reboot. And like most of the changes, like, I'm so excited about. They've been great. I've been seeing more of people I like. And I've also been seeing a lot of Jeff Hardy and Matt Sydal. And it's confusing. But
I guess maybe it's like he's willing to lose and not so important for the rankings.
Don't have a lot of those.
But Mox did win the match, and he offered Jeff Hardy a handshake of respect, but Jeff Hardy flipped him off and left, which has been Jeff Hardy's new kind of thing. For reasons also unproducible, but fine, like not complaining about it, a cadre of CMLL luchadors had been watching the match from the front row, and Mox like barreled into them mid-match, and they didn't like that. They were mad about it. So after Jeff Hardy left, they jumped Mox in the ring, and it was a little like, you know, he's 4-on-1. What's he going to do? And then the recap I was reading said the BCC weren't in the building. Why not? Where were they? They didn't show up to work, but instead 2.0, Matt Sydal and Christopher Danielson had to come save Mox, which was like, when imagine us, your 3 powerful hosts watching this, and it's like I think we're like swimming through mud, like just like basically like brain feeling high, even though no thing making high, just being like, why are they there? Why did these men come?
It's so confusing. It just was the most random assortment of men I could have summoned up, I think. I mean,
I can't imagine how those got chosen. Like, don't you feel like Tony was just like, the 4 people closest to the door go, and it just happened to be those 4 people?
That's right, but it was somehow they were like, I think the reason they were especially confusing is because I've been seeing them doing other things on TV recently.
Yeah.
Even Christopher Danielson we saw relatively recently. If it had been like Griff Garrison, and I don't know, just 4 men I haven't seen recently, I would have been like, okay, that's a random locker room assortment. This made me be like, are they in storylines I forgot about? Did I forget why they're coming?
Yeah.
So I also feel intelligent.
I really enjoy that you've made Christopher Daniels Bryan Danielson's new brother.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's a real throwback. I think I used to do that a lot. Wow, I really right here in front of me where I wrote it too,
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it when I read the notes. It was only when you said it where I was like, that doesn't seem
you
right.
did it? Oh, a likely story. Neither of my hosts saw it, and neither of them corrected it. So I'm here saying stupid things to our audience.
I'm glad Leah said something because I was sitting here being like, do I correct her on the air or do I just let it fly? And I was just going to let it fly. So,
well, it's just funny because I like to think about Christopher and Bryan like sitting at the dinner table being like, we're family.
Nice. With his jacked up eye and Bryan Danielson's
it's fixed
also
now.
jacked up eye.
Now,
his eye's fixed now.
And it's fixed now.
The Bucks didn't break him forever, and
that doesn't sound like the Bucks. I don't know.
Leah, do you want to briefly speak to the concept of Mox oversaturation? She didn't like when I put her on the you brought it up.
You brought it up. I got excited that you put it in the schedule.
Well, you put it in your notes, but that's I thought let's talk about it.
I've put it in my notes for the past 6 months, being like, I'm so sick of seeing Mox.
Well, you framed it like it was the first time you thought it recently, to be honest.
Why am I seeing Mox every single... Why did he open every show? That's crazy.
I was thinking about it because I was like, when was the last time, like, Mox was in, like, a storyline story? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it was OC.
We did get a break from him while he was in Japan. And then actually it was excited to see him back. But now...
And we love Mox. Guys, we love Mox forever. He's, as I said last night, cutie orange. But he is not... I'd love to see the BCC do a little breakup storyline where I have kind of something a little emotional to sink my teeth into that I'm thinking about when I see Mox.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. But yeah, all the matches he did this week were just kind of like, oh, okay, that's fine.
I want somebody to, like, I forget who suggested it, but that, like, I think, Allie, it might have been you last week that Eddie's win over Danielson fractures the BCC and Mox ends up back with Eddie. That would be fun. I would like that. It would
be fun.
I think I stole it from someone. I'm not taking credit for that idea, but yeah, I agree that would be so sexy. And it would be sexy for Mox to just be like, Bryan Danielson, like, I've been in this group because it's like a really fun, chill, violent time, but you are being insane now. You are gone a little bit too far now.
It would be interesting, too, if, like, Eddie's been mad this whole time that Mox is, like, hanging out with Claudio and Danielson, his enemies, and Mox has been like, they are cool and you are being crazy, but then if Mox has to reverse and be like, oh, no, maybe Eddie was right all along. I don't think Mox would ever admit that, but I'd be into it.
No, I think he would be like, it was a bit of a sea change. Well, speaking to the Danielson situation, we also had Eddie fought Willie Mack on Collision and won, and we had this the classic little, like, Eddie's leaving while Danielson is coming in for his match, so they crossed paths on the ramp, and Eddie ended up staying on commentary for the Danielson versus Yuji Nagata match. What do you guys think of this kind of tense little organic moment between the men?
I loved something the Bleacher recapper said, which was the look on Kingston's face as Danielson made his entrance was that of a man trying desperately not to lose his cool, knowing full well that's what his rival wants.
Yeah.
That is such a funny situation for Eddie to be put into a situation. I would like to see that formalized in some way where it's like, Eddie, if you lose your cool in any way, you lose. You just have to sit there and, like, take whatever Bryan Danielson says to you.
Some kind of a weird lose the cool match?
Yeah.
Lose the cool match. The Bucks could come out beforehand and be like, Eddie, loved your attitude lately. If you lose it, you are going to get fined. And then, like, he has to
I think that would make him more likely to lose it. Like, if the Bucks were like, you're not allowed to lose your cool, he'd be like, bitch, I am actively breaking something as you say it. Like, it is over.
It's Pie Face and Matt Jackson.
Oh my God. I love him so much. Well, I'm excited. Do you guys think that we're getting Eddie Danielson at Revolution?
I'd be into it. I have been enjoying the tension that they've been having, and like having him on commentary was a lot of fun. And it's just like, it's a good ongoing storyline. Yeah. I like when Eddie has a grudge he won't let go of.
Oh, yeah.
It is the best Eddie.
Yeah.
Just mad.
Mm-hmm. Guys, let's talk about this. Is my favorite topic of the night. I'm so worried. Just like, it's like, no, I shouldn't say that. Because I hate it. But so I watched Collision and belatedly, and just being like, I got to see what happens in this stupid little cage match. It was so dumb. This cage match was so fucking dumb. I feel like lit up about it. So the setup that they did in the show in Collision was that at the beginning of Collision, Matt Menard found Danny Garcia's prone little limp body backstage. Like he'd been attacked. And so he'd been attacked and they didn't know if he was going to be able to fight. So FTR did this thing where they were like loitering outside his dressing room. I guess he was in there with the doctor or something. And Mark Briscoe came by and was like, well, if Danny Garcia can't fight, I would love to fight with you guys. It would be so fun to fight. And they were like, well, maybe we're going to leave it up to Danny, but we'll see. And so then when we got to the main event, FTR come out, Mark Briscoe comes out like he's going to fight with them. And then classic little House of Black stupid shit. Lights go out. Lights come back on. They attack Mark Briscoe. There's fighting. Danny Garcia does come out. Everybody ends up, finally, they make it into the cage.
Mark Briscoe kind of just disappeared at this point, too. Did you guys see where he went?
No, but
he comes
back at the end. Yeah, but it's like in the middle. I was just like, where did he just like limp away to the back? Like I
did think it was funny that it was like, does he want to be in this match or not? Because I want to let's touch on this up front. Who do you think? This was also dumb, but who do you think beat Danny Garcia up?
I don't know. The Bleacher Recap guy thinks it was Matt Menard, and that will make me cry.
No,
that's
I think
wild.
Danny Garcia would know that it was Matt Menard. I think it could have been Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, that would.
He
be
did
cool.
want to be in the match. That would be cool.
I would be in the match.
I was just assuming it was House of Black, but that would be really.
I know.
boring.
Well, but then it's like they didn't make it clear. This is it's like this. It was so crazy where I was like, this is so overcomplicated. Like you're just throwing so much stuff at me that I don't really understand why it's happening this episode. But at the same time, I don't think commentary ever really explained to me the rules of this match. So they get in this fucking cage, and there's two things.
They kind of explain them like partially, like halfway through the match. They start being like, and now let's go through the rules. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to know the rules, to be honest.
They're in the cage, and they don't want to be in the cage. What don't you understand? I was like, a lot of things, to be honest. Because occasionally, like, the cage is locked. They're locked in the cage.
They made like a big deal out of it. Like, commentary was like, and now the cage door is being locked. And it was like dramatically, like a referee was like putting a padlock or some shit on it.
But then every now and then, if someone got near the door, someone would just open it.
But the ref opened it in the funniest way too. Like when you like open a fire escape door because you want to go smoke outside, and you're like, hold this open for me, and you like slip out. Like that is how that ref was holding that door open.
And the funny thing too is that like it started like they're fighting. It's like a normal wrestling match. Then like House of Black beats down like FTR and Danny Garcia, and commentary is finally like, to win, you have to escape the cage. And then House of Black starts like climbing the walls of the cage, which doesn't have a top on it. So I'm like, oh, they have to like climb out the top of the cage. Like, okay,
it's a presidential fitness test.
Right.
Pretty much.
I was like, that's kind of weird, but like, okay. But then like 5 minutes later, the ref is just opening the door for people. I'm like, why are we climbing the cage then?
The door should not have been part of it in any way.
No. You understand. The vibe was like Cat trying to go in and out. And it's like the ref is like the permissive cat mom who keeps being like, okay, well, I'll let you out again, but I'm not letting you back in again. Then 5 minutes later, it's like the cat scratching. So it's like, okay, I'll let you back in, but I'm not letting you out again.
Also, like, none of them had any urgency about getting out of the cage. So, like, FTR and Danny Garcia, like, beat down House of Black. They're all lying on the floor. They take, like, a minute to, like, high-five each other and walk around the ring and then, like, kind of meander towards the door. And then Danny Garcia was like, no, we're not done with them yet. And then they just beat them up more. Like, but you could have won the match.
I know we literally just made fun of people who think wrestling is real, but it does absolutely, like, it's worse than ladder matches. Like, I have learned to suspend my belief where I'm like, he can't make it up the ladder that fast. He can only go up one ring every 15 seconds. Yeah. Like, but for this, like, It took so long for anyone to be remotely interested in escaping the cage. And it's like, if the situation was like, you have to pin somebody and then get out of the cage, that's one thing. But like, why would you ever waste time beating somebody up? Because you're
just
like,
battle out of the cage.
Well,
this
and they
forced me to suspend my disbelief so much more than any Young Bucks spot fest ever has. Like, I was like, this is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense.
Well, and the way the commentary set it up too was like, they were like, there's a lot of strategy because like you have to get all three of your guys out to win, but like once one of your guys is out, he can't come back in, so then you're at like a numerical disadvantage, so you've got to like try to all get out at the same time instead of one at a time, so you don't have like a 2-on-1 situation. But it's like, so you've set up a match where they have like contradictory wants. So it's like, they're both having a regular wrestling match in the middle that they need numbers for, but also they need to climb out of the cage. Whereas, like, at least in a ladder match, like, everyone's just trying to climb the ladder, you know? Like, it's not this situation where you're, like, half climbing out, but then you get knocked out and you land through a table and commentary's like, he's escaped. And you're like, okay, sure.
Well,
Didn't look
fun. It was also just a strangely choreographed match, too, where it's like they got in there and literally, like, I swear to God, a minute into this match, Mr. Cash Gunn has glided up to the top of the cage, and you're like, he's out. But then he's like, no, I'm actually going to do a big jump spot now. I'm jumping back into the cage. And it's like, bitch, the point is to escape the cage. You're not hurting anybody. No one has ever hurt anyone in wrestling by jumping on them, ever.
And that's how you know that Nick Jackson did not touch any part of this match layout. Why the fuck was he doing a crazy cage dive within 30 seconds of it starting? I'm like, that's not how this works. You're like, that's supposed to be the big finisher.
Yeah. And it's like with the door involved, it was just ridiculous because it's like, why are you trying to climb out at all if you can just walk to the door and get let out? So like if the whole thing had been like you have to climb out of the cage, it would have been like, it would have been better at least.
That's true because I do not know what indicated to the ref, I will open the door. Like, if you can open the door, presumably everyone could just tumble towards the door real fast, and you'd have to open it, and they tumble out of the cage.
Yeah, and commentary was like, and now the door's of course locked again, and they're all locked in the cage. It's like, what are the door locking parameters?
I know that people who have seen this kind of match before are going to be screaming at their phones, being like,
I don't care. No,
hey, this is the rules, but you know they didn't explain it.
Is this a standard kind of cage match though, where people climb out? Because my impression from the internet was that it wasn't, but I don't think they
invented it, but it isn't the most normal type of cage match,
and it shouldn't be.
To assume.
I should not.
No one should
I
be doing
shouldn't
this.
see this. The only way that I ever want to see this again is if it's like Private Party versus Top Flight. Like, I want to see little like monkey boys trying to get up and pulling each other down. I don't want to see any of this bullshit.
Yeah,
it would be interesting if it had been put together by someone who knows how to put together a match, like Nick Jackson or Bryan Danielson or OC or somebody where it like actually built to something instead of being like we're doing coordinated climbs up the cage that don't make any sense.
Daniel Garcia just got misted in the middle of the match for no reason. Were you guys paying attention to the part where the Cash and someone else were like dangling? Like they were like almost out of the cage, but they didn't want to drop or something. Yeah. And then commentary's just like, and Cash fell onto the table, which is like, that's the stupidest table spot I've ever seen. No one made you do that. Like you didn't have to do that.
Why was the table even set up? Like
but
who did
commentary said, oh no, Cash has fallen onto the table that was set up before the match began.
So okay.
New York Times passive tense. Just like, who set up the table? Who could say?
Who could say?
We're just having a potluck after the match. Like, don't worry about it.
Sometimes you just like to have a table around. It just makes me feel safe.
No, and I didn't hear commentary explaining the strategy that people should have. And that's even funnier considering what actually happened, which is that Dax and Cash left their smallest, most injured member in the cage alone at the end.
I know, Daniel and the Lion, baby.
Like if you were gonna do the strategy that you mentioned, and wouldn't you send Daniel Garcia out of the cage first and like protect him? Like Dax and Cash are like guarding the part of the fence that he's like climbing. What the fuck was that?
I thought it was fully insane that Dax got out first. And then the other thing about that with the like strategy conversation was they each basically left the cage in pairs. So there weren't really situations where one like there was a numerical advantage. Like,
no.
So
they literally did buddy system. They did full buddy system, and they were like, no, we
one
won't.
Of each of us.
I won't leave the cage without one of my friends from the other team.
I'm genuinely worried that this absolutely fucking nonsensical ass match was the match that I have watched closest since I don't know the last time that like I watched a match with every part of my senses.
But it's not complimentary. I mean, it's like
no, it's not complimentary.
I mean, there's a certain kind of like hate watching, hate reading that really does draw you in, you know, and it's not a good thing.
The passionate distaste that I felt for everything that I was seeing.
Oh, it was awful.
The final thing. Oh no, go.
Well, I was just gonna say at the end when like FTR and Danny Garcia and Mark Briscoe interfered to help, like when they won and then they were all just like hugging each other ecstatically for like a long time. I was like, this is not sympathetic.
Daniel Garcia got mega misted too. By the way, he didn't just get like a little puff on his face. Man looked like he got slimed, like a Nickelodeon slimed.
Yeah. It was repulsive.
It's fucking crazy. Sometimes it's like whenever I do happen to see FTR do stuff, I'm just so astonished to remember that it's like one time you were in a heel faction and then you became faces. You changed nothing about yourself. You became faces and you were like, no one will ever call us bad guys again. And so you watch their stupid promos that they were doing about this and they're so like, we're good guys, Mark Briscoe, and so we got to do what's right for Danny Garcia for our big cage match. We got to wait and make sure that he's doing okay. It's so stupid. This is the final thing I want to say about it, okay? I had an idea where I was like, escape the cage match. Could this just be kind of a mousetrap match where it's like you know when this is what I wrote in the notes. when the witch in Hansel and Gretel is being like, oh, the oven's not turning on. Just check to see if it's turning on. And then she's gonna put them in the oven. Escape the Cage should be like, you're gonna do an escape the cage match. And they get them all in there and then close a door and they lift the cage up. And I never see those men again.
Keep running. The farther you escape, the more you win.
The cage escapes with them. And they're gone from my life. Yeah, no, the cage takes them away.
I love that.
Oh, the cage takes them away. Yeah,
up
into the rafters. I say bye.
I love that.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Remember when someone was in a shark cage?
I was just thinking about that. It was because I don't remember who Jericho was fighting, but they made the Jericho Appreciation Society go into a shark.
Yeah,
the shark cage. But then Daniel Garcia just turned sideways and
and they like couldn't open the lock and people wow. That was also very stupid, but it was a great example of vertical integration, which I did love. So for sure,
so fun. And it was so stupid that it was fun. And this was so stupid that it was, I guess I did have fun, but I don't come out of it liking the men more. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. No, I'm humiliated for them.
It did seem ultimately sillier than just getting pinned. Like, it was like, this is how hard you're working to not get pinned? Like, it was even so stupid.
Undignified.
You all look so dumb.
Look, even in the early part of the match, like, I feel like in the early part when they weren't even trying to escape yet, like, there were a lot of spots where, like, Malachi just like kicks Dax's head against the cage and like holds him there like with his face pressed against the chain link for like a minute. I was like, you guys look like idiots.
They look so stupid. Middle-aged men, I'm sorry, you cannot scamper down a chain link fence in panties with any sort of dignity. Like none of the House of Black and none of FTR. Daniel Garcia only managed it because he is like a little wiggle monster.
He's just a squirmy little twink. So it's just like, that twink's just dancing in there. Good for him.
When FTR's diapered ass butt is like, and he's like so nervous because he's like checking to see how far the drop is. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. A little bit lower. And then like, this is worse thing. This is better than getting pinned. You feel better about this?
That's the thing is, like, if there were people in there who, like, were comfortable looking silly, it would be like an AEW-style disaster that was very charming. But because these guys are so committed to being very macho and dignified all the time, you're just like, Dax, you're the dumbest person alive. This looks terrible.
It just felt so absurd after a whole week of discourse where everyone on planet Earth was being like, actually, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, everyone was really good sports, and this was just the match that everyone wanted to have, and because it was going to be a good match, and they wanted to do a good match, and had nothing to do with getting pinned. Actually, they're happy to get pinned, and it's like, if they were happy to get pinned, they would be getting pinned because that would be a better match. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that would be a better, and they would look cooler. Instead, everyone looks so fucking stupid, which is good for me because I hate them. I'm glad that I got to watch the men I hate look dumb as hell.
That's right.
Well,
yeah.
that's all we got. That's all, folks. Okay, let's move talking about Deonna and Toni. So this week on Dynamite, we got an explanatory package about Deonna and Toni's matching tattoos. For those who didn't understand what was going on, who I guess were out there, I mean, I'm not complaining because I love the package, but it was everything to me.
It was everything.
Incredible.
Absolutely everything.
When they started showing pictures of them in their early 20s, I was like, this is the best video package I've ever watched of anything. This is all I ever want. Everyone who's ever told me they used to be roommates with someone better come in with a package of old photos.
And I remembered afterwards that I'm like, right, Cope and Christian did this too. We got all the old photos.
Oh, they did?
Every single fucking one of you had I want you to take notes. You're right, Ann. I can never see a roommate situation again where you're not showing me a slideshow of every humiliating Facebook photo that has ever been posted of the two of you together.
I want to see terrible haircuts. I want to see little drunken party antics. I want to see you sitting on the same chair. You know, come on.
I want to see you cuddled up. You're smiling. You're young. Your whole life is ahead of you. But later, you're gonna hate the person that you're touching thighs with. You're gonna hate him so bad. You're gonna have to get your hands on him again in the ring so you can fight him. You hate him so bad.
That's exactly right. That's exactly,
You picking up what I'm laying down?
With a matching tattoo is just like, you decided to be bonded together for life. You decided to go full Lord of the Rings cast, and that's a beautiful thing.
And I loved when I think it was Deonna was like, it was impulsive. And I was like, of course it was.
Yeah, it was. I was disappointed that they said it was in the UK and not on the New Jersey boardwalk, but at least it was impulsive.
And we don't know, like there's got to be some version of the New Jersey boardwalk in the UK, and that's probably where they were. Like
I know.
To our UK listeners, you just let us know what trashy fun boardwalk you think they were on when they got that tattoo.
What is the tackiest place they could have gotten that tattoo?
Yeah.
Please tell us your theories so that we can onboard them.
So then after this package, Deonna came out for a match versus Taya Valkyrie. Toni was on commentary. Deonna won the match, and then they had I couldn't get a single recap site to explain this to me, and I couldn't find it in me to find the episode, so whatever. They had a little, they looked at each other like, no, I'm gonna get you. You know the deal.
You're an old hand at wrestling. You've seen us stare down before. Don't worry about it.
I've had it with these recaps. This week I used my usual one, Cage Side Seats, and I used the AEW results recap, and it's like what happens after the match is often the most plot relevant thing. Whoever beats down who, or how someone exits, or who's looking mean at who, that's really important for everyone to know what's happening next. Why won't you describe it? Why won't you describe it to me?
You do get a good sense of kind of a normie wrestling fans' priorities, because it's they want to know what kind of suplexes were done, but who beat up who after the match to set up more things, it's not interesting.
I'm begging, just one of you needs to hire one English major. That's it, just one of us. And you can
for
get
the
us
spell
at a low
checking
price,
alone.
Okay?
Can you imagine what shit we would be up to? Being like, and Toni looked back at Deonna, who stood forlornly in the middle of the ring.
Oh,
they exchanged a loaded glance.
It would be like Matt Jackson describing Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks.
Blue orbs, yeah. Ooh.
A halo
Then
of
hire
curly
Matt
hair.
Jackson. Hire Matt Jackson.
I'd love to read a little recap from Matt Jackson, a little purple prose.
Now, that is a very funny bit. They could do the old Toni. You remember when Toni was so mad about something the Max Caster did that we got all those reports being like, he has to edit Dark now. Unfortunately, now he can't trust anyone else
Tony
to edit
Khan,
Dark, so he has to do it himself.
Personally.
This is a free idea for the Young Bucks. It's like, you're the EVPs. You're getting involved in everything. You're just like, they're not doing good on these recaps. Matt's going to do the recaps this week. Matt's going to do the recaps. And I'd love to see what you come up with. I swear to God, I would cherish those recaps for the rest of my life until my dying day.
That'd be such a
we're
small,
doing a little bit of a joke here, but legitimately, I think that's a good idea, because they could even do it in heel mode and just be like,
absolutely,
these guys came out, they tried. I mean, it was kind of amateur hour, but it's fine.
It'd be such a funny bit to do, though, because
we'd have to talk to them later about it wasn't a very safe suplex. So Nick made a note that we'd have to have a little check-in with them later.
The entrance went a little long.
It'd be such a funny bit, because how many hits do you think those AEW recaps get? 5 to 10?
It's from wrestling podcasters who are like, wait, what happened?
It's actually when I think I had like they had a tag at one point that was like AEW results, and I had it bookmarked. So I tried to go there today, and it took me to the results from the middle of 2023. And I was like, where am I? Like, what is happening here? It was so hard to get to the actual results. So, yeah, I don't think they're getting a lot of hits. And this is a great idea.
Well, let's take a moment to be like, hey, AVPs, if you want to make a difference in your community, that fucking website is out of control. The results page is nonsense. But the photo page, why are the photos locked like Fort fucking Knox to get at? Like, why am I going through code to try to find a direct link for a photo?
It's like, I want to implicate myself in cyber crimes, but I have downloaded TV shows from so many places where it's like I'm on a million Reddit threads being like, how do I get into the CBC Canada like back end so I can get their like MU38 files? And you can do it. You cannot get those photos off of the AEW website. And I guess they're probably thinking to themselves, like, yeah, it's called great security. And it's like, well, what are they for then? I don't understand what they're for.
If I can't make funny memes with my friends, why the fuck do you take these photos?
Like, we're just trying to spread the word about the product.
What I'm doing with those photos is great publicity. No, you can't see what I'm doing, but just know that it's great publicity.
Amongst a certain demographic. Fun-loving girls.
Fun-loving girls.
That's our demographic.
Love that.
And the EVPs need to step up.
We're doing constant outreach to the fun-loving girls demographic, and rarely are we thanked for it, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, to find those recaps, like often I'll Google like Dynamite and the date. But it turns out if you Google Collision and you get the date a little bit wrong, you just get a lot of articles about car crashes, which is a bit of a bummer. Even if you get the date right, those are going to be some of your top hits. So,
oh my God.
Well, we cannot get off this topic though.
Back to Deonna, Toni.
Back to Deonna. I just need to say
it
that when Toni Storm said into an AEW mic,
my God,
that she loves New Orleans because the people at the airport gave her a set of beads. Not for her neck.
The thing she is getting away with on that mic, and then she was talking about someone pissing in her seat for like 5 minutes. I think
she goes, someone pissed in my seat. Is that how we do it here?
But the beads was just like, she is slipping these things by people. Like
she's slipping something.
I think people are afraid to confront her about it. I don't think Max Caster could have gotten away with it.
Excalibur's vibe was so funny because he was just like, it really felt like he was like immediately like, moving on.
Excalibur's got like Toni in his ear, like, please change the subject quickly.
Well, I think the funniest thing is because of that one time that she did the syncing up comment, and then someone did follow up, and they had to do that quick little look. No, not like that. It's
Excalibur,
like
you haven't been married real long, have you, Excalibur?
Not safe for anybody. I think sometimes it's like Excalibur's thing is like, don't say anything about that if you don't get it. We've got to move on. We can't get into that. We can't talk about that. Which are some of my favorite moments on commentary are when someone says something and the rest of them are just like, oh, no. No. That's for after the show to talk about.
At least save it for the commercial break. My God.
Good. Toni, love you. Deonna, love you. You're our beautiful girls. Show us more pictures of just your lives and, just keep doing it.
Even Taya Valkyrie got a little bit of a
she's good.
I mean, I was like, this was a good match. I don't know if it's just that I'm in such a good mood with the women's division, but
this honestly was like a highlight of the whole show for me. And I was like, how often is it that the women's match is one of my top segments? But loved it.
It was great. Swerve and Hangman spent the week choosing each other's Dynamite match opponents. And unfortunately, we were all a little underwhelmed by just like what they chose and how they chose it. Should we say that?
Yeah, we thought that they were going to like do something like psychology wise, and they didn't. So
they didn't at all. It was really, I felt a little bit like, well, fantasy book, don't fantasy believe. But I would have been happy with so many options if they had just tried to get under each other's skin. But instead they were just kind of like, well, here's a man.
It did feel a little bit like it's like these were the matches that they were going to have, and they were like, well, we'll just present them in this way, and it's like, don't just present them in that way. If you choose to do something so psychologically ripe and delicious, don't half-ass it. I wanna watch you like posed like the thinker, like deep in contemplation of how you can torture this man who is defining your entire life right now unhealthily.
Yeah. The hands you chose to put on the body of your nemesis, and you're just going to be like, oh, I guess this one's okay. Like
Rob
RVD. Yeah,
so,
sure.
But the thing that bummed me out is like, even if for some practical reason that we do not know about, it had to be those matches. They could have made like a little bit more of an effort.
Make a case
like,
for it.
All I would have taken like is a backstage moment where Swerve is talking to don't say Tia Leone. Don't say Tia Leone. Toa Leona saying, you know, like, these are his weak spots. This is what I want you to focus in on. You have to beat him. This is how he thinks. And like really like being like, and you are standing in for me. In this moment, you are going to be my avatar, and like making it very good.
Yeah. And ideally Toa Leona's vibe would be a little like, yeah, I don't need to be told how to wrestle. And Swerve is being like, no, listen to me. You will fight the way I want you to fight. Right. You are me. And then also he could have been saying, you know, these are just like deranged ideas for free. He could have been saying things like, when Toa Leona like squashes you, that's me. Those are my hands on you. His hands are my hands because like the Mogul Embassy are my arms, and you know, whatever.
Yes.
The men who are making Instagram posts like, you're part of me forever. Like, you're telling me they came with an energy of like, I forgot it was Secret Santa today and I just found this stuff in my car. Like, that's not what they should be coming to the table with.
Commit to the bit.
Gaslight me. Tell me that like Rob Van Dam was Swerve's idol growing up. You know what I mean?
You're
like,
great.
I don't know any different. Go ahead, tell me. Like, I know you had a picture of Rob Van Dam in your bedroom because I've talked to everybody and I know things about you that blah blah blah. And now you're gonna fight him. Like, come on, lie to me. What the hell?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Make it sexy.
Just being like,
I'll believe.
It's a death match, like, isn't enough. Be like, Swerve, I know you're still beat up and like you can't take a death match right now. Like, anything, even a little bit.
Yeah. Just feed us. Just feed us. And I think this one important takeaway here is that it really is about the framing. Yeah. It really is. You can sell me on so much, but I want you to frame it sexy style.
Yeah, and they've been doing so much sexy up to this point. It was just like, I was so ready for it. So
it's a good reminder that even the best sometimes phone it in. Some days you just have that day where you're like, listen, you've got
it's the end of January.
Yeah, end of January. I clocked in. Yeah, that's all
I know you want to get horny, but we're all struggling this week. Okay, I'll give it to you. I acknowledge that at the end of the day, it's my job to get me horny, not necessarily yours. cut all of that, I think. So Hangman did fight Toa Leona, and that was a big old slut fest. They're fighting and squatting and punching, and
it was
all
a better
stuff.
match than I expected.
It was fun. I liked it.
They went hard. Yeah. So
I think it made me
nice.
like Toa Leona more. I didn't have many feelings about him, but at the end I was like, oh, that was good. That was good work.
He's a very unique wrestler. Like the shit that he's getting up to, I'm like, I don't see a lot of that.
I love the confidence with which you said that. I would not have the confidence to say that about anybody. I don't know, but I love that. Unique. So Hangman won, and then Swerve versus RVD main evented, and that was fine, but I just don't know Rob Van Dam. Yeah. And I kept being like, I guess that maybe many people may be excited about this because they know him, but I don't really, so I don't care. Brian Cage intervened mid-match, and Hook ran out to stop him, but the distraction still ended up being to Swerve's advantage, so he won, and then Hangman came out for a post-match promo, which we can unpack together, but it did end with the promise that they will fight next week. It'll be their third match, and the winner is going to fight Joe at Revolution.
Yeah. This was extremely exciting. I didn't think they were going to fight before a paper, like just next week on television.
It kind of stressed me out. Like, I wasn't ready for it, so I was like, they're doing what?
They're moving very fast. I'm like, we're cruising towards something. I hope it's something I'm going to enjoy.
I know, because
so.
I'm like,
I feel
Revolution
right
isn't
now,
for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Just 4 now, yeah. So
I always wonder, how are we going to fill the time? Who's going to be doing what? But I'm excited. What are you guys' thoughts on the outcome of this match?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want Swerve to win the belt on Sting's pay-per-view.
yeah.
But
No.
I also don't want him to lose to Joe. So I guess
I don't want him to lose to Hangman because he does have 2 wins. Like, I think this is where, like, I start to get my, like a little bit of special boy feeling where I'm just like, well, he can't lose all the matches.
3 times in a row, he's going to start spiraling. That won't be good for his mental health at all.
I think the ultimate is that I want Hangman to get the belt and then keep it from Swerve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been like
And
my
then Swerve
ideal
to win it off Hangman.
Yeah.
this whole time. Yeah, as for like Hangman to win it at Revolution with Sting's whole deal, and then Swerve to chase him, and them to have a like very fiery thing for a while, and then Swerve to win it. So,
but if Hangman gets it, I want him to hold it for a little bit, just because like his first reign sucked so bad.
Sucked.
So I'm just like,
he's got to have it at least through the summer.
Yeah, and then maybe Swerve gets it at like all in or something. You know what I mean? Like I know people keep saying that like Ospreay is going to get it. I don't think Ospreay should get it this year, but
it's like we're having All In every year. I don't understand why you would put a belt on Ospreay immediately when he gets into the company. I feel like that devalues the belt. To be honest.
Well, and sometimes it feels like, I don't know. I saw someone, I think with like the Punk situation, just talking about how it's like, if you're like watching like a comedy and you're really invested in like the characters, and then like Beyonce joins the show and she's a big star. So now it's all about Beyonce. And you're like, well, I was actually kind of invested in like the show I was watching. Like, that's kind of how I feel about like a big star coming in, where it's like, it'll be fun to see Ospreay and stuff, but like I'm invested in the storylines that are currently happening. So like, let's pay them off and then work Ospreay into the mix organically, you know?
Yeah. And of course, I want him to. I'm happy for him to get a beautiful big boy belt in front of his home country. Like, I understand why you would want to have that big feel good moment, and I'm sure that I will like it. To be honest, I'm a very simple woman, so I'll probably enjoy it. It just shouldn't be this year.
No, next year would be perfect.
All in next year is great. Yeah. Give him a little story. Give him a little run up to it. Get me invested. Make me care.
Swerve Ospreay would fucking rule. So if
God.
Ospreay's the one who takes it off Swerve eventually, that would fucking rule.
That would be so sexy. Can I just touch in on, this is a little lower stakes issue. So Hangman has his big mustache now, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes I worry that the mustache is taking volume away from the hair, that the hair is becoming smaller to accommodate the largeness of the mustache, and I don't think that we have to compromise. I think that we can have those big, beautiful, loose curls as well as the big honkin' 70s mustache that's getting us all going, revving our engines.
The hair is heading into mullet territory, and there was a moment when, let's be careful with it, because there was a moment when he came out last night where I was like, well, I'm still wildly attracted to him, but I feel like if my best friend who doesn't watch wrestling saw him right now, she would be like, ew, what is going on with like the mullet mustache situation?
That's so more damning than I expected.
I know, I'm sorry. But there was just a moment where I was like, he looks like an 80s wrestler and not in a good way at this moment. Except it's still good to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course it's still absolutely.
We're not getting off this train.
No. But something about the fact that his hair was so wet, but the mustache was so fluffy and like bushy,
dry.
And I know that it's like
the hair was wet, but the mustache was
dry. Like you can't wet down the mustache in the same way. I understand that, but the
you can put conditioner on it. It's not illegal. I mean, it's not normal, but I don't just. I don't have one, so
I don't know that I love a wet mustache.
I'm not advocating. To be clear, I'm not advocating for a wet mustache. I'm advocating for drier hair. I'm advocating for I
feel like we've inadvertently wandered into a Toni Storm situation, and normally we do that on purpose, but this time it just happened, and I don't know.
Should we mark this one as explicit? Are they all marked as explicit?
I think we're supposed to be marking them all as explicit now because
Girl, I'm
frankly,
sure we are because of the things we say. Yeah. So on TV, I don't think we need the wet mustache.
We gotta just turn our brains off and turn it back on again. I can't come back from this.
Let's do a full hard reboot.
Oh my god.
I love New Orleans. They gave me a beautiful mustache in the airport, and it was not dry.
Do you think we'd be straight up arrested if we called this episode Wet Mustache Ride?
We may have to. We may legally be obligated to.
That's how we get those
my
clicks,
God.
ladies. You know, everyone
gotta
else's
get the clicks.
episodes, they're so sober and normal titled. And
Yeah. Okay, wake up, girls. We need a pot of coffee and a big bowl of ice water. Get us back into
put our
it.
whole heads in the water. Yeah.
What was it that the Quakers thought you were? Was it oatmeal? Yeah, I assume to like stop having so many sexual thoughts. Should we?
That was a lot of cereal. Was
a lot
supposed
of
to curb
cereal.
sexual impulses. That's how we got many of our American cereals. Yeah.
I love the moments where you guys think I am completely out of my mind and then it clicks in what I'm saying and I'm like, thank God, because I didn't know where I was going with that next.
What? Well,
God
was
bless
it
American
the
Puritanism.
Quakers? Like, did the Quakers invent oatmeal to stop sex? Like, I don't think that's right, but I did see where he...
Does the guy on the Quaker oat box, does he have a mustache?
I can only picture the
I don't
Pringles
think
guy.
He does. He has his
And if the
mustache
hair
might be
gets
wet.
too small, that will be Hangman, the Pringles guy.
This
Be
is the
careful.
stupidest reason we're
Quaker-
ever going to be overtime.
I
We're way
know.
over time, dude, and
Quaker-
I'm not even
Quaker
trying to
guys-
stop us.
Quaker Oats is clean shaven, so that's
Wow.
because to
He didn't
curb
want
your
people to
sexual
be able to
impulses.
see if it was dry or not.
Stop! Reboot!
It's gonna make it hard for us to get jobs in the future. No. Okay. Ooh. Ma. All right. Just do some scales, and I think that's all we have to say about Hangman and Swerve. So let's hop on over to the tag team division, shall we? She said in sultry tones. Let's take it down a notch and head on over to the tag team division, where Darby and Sting had a sit-down interview with Ricky and Big Bill this week, with Tony Schiavone mediating. And I don't think that he was as up to the job as JR has been.
No, he really wasn't. JR has one really important function, and we miss it.
He's somehow just so good at these sit-downs, and it's like, I know he wants to be re-signed, so Tony, just let him do this.
It's the
Sit down
only
only.
time you're ever going to hear us advocating
Yeah,
for JR. Bring us JR. Where is JR?
Where is JR for the sit-down? So the gist of this was that there's quite a lot of back and forth. Ricky was like, nobody respects me. True. And he reminded Sting that Sting got his first win at AEW over Ricky. Then Darby flipped out about how Ricky doesn't respect Sting. Probably true. And Ricky told Darby, there's no space in my body for respect for you, which was a real, like, okay, girl.
There were moments in this promo that, like, I could see the old Ricky, and I was like, that's the Ricky I do like. Like, that sentence was fucking deranged, and I loved it. And then he would go back to something annoying.
Yeah.
And then, so we ended with Darby saying what everybody has been thinking for a long time now. He was just like, Ricky, at some point you have to stop blaming other people and start blaming yourself. You're the only person to blame. And it was like so true. And then the recap said that Ricky threw his drink in Darby's face, but I guess I didn't realize he had a drink. So I thought he had spat on him. So I was honestly a little disappointed to read this. I thought there was a drink, but what did you guys think about this whole and then Sting was like, we'll beat you up later. Like, we got to get out of here. So he had to drag Darby out of there because Darby was like ready to go. It was
Sting
really
was like,
cute.
he's very protective of me.
Yeah,
which
he
is very
like,
cute.
bear hugged Darby and was like,
Yeah.
sorry, don't hit him, Darby.
the choreography wasn't. There was a moment where I think we all like really sat up, like, what is happening here right now? Because Sting did get that protective arm around him, like, you need to calm down, buddy. Remember what you said about getting a little too excited.
Everybody's energies in this promo were so weird and funny because Darby had a real like sullen teen thing going for a lot of it, and then Big Bill was sitting there looking kind of awkward for part of it. Like he was at a party and his wife was being like a real bitch to someone, and he was like, I don't really sign on for this, but like I'm here, you know.
Well, it was actually funny to read the text of what Big Bill said because how you've described his whole attitude is exactly right. It was like, Ricky, this is a little embarrassing, but that's fine because I said in health and in wealth with you. but then the text was just like normal trash talk, but that's not how he delivered it. It very much was like, okay, let's get things a little more civil here. We don't like you guys and we're going to beat you up. Ricky, that's all we need to say. You don't have to get into this stuff. It doesn't have to be about respect. Just we're going to fight.
Yeah, it is interesting because Ricky did have a couple lines where you're like, oh, that is the bitchy Ricky that I like. But it's like, is he trying to suppress his real personality like the rest of the time? Because a lot of it was so generic. I was like, Ricky, this is why you're not. This is why you're mid.
I would love to talk to him to be like, what are you trying to do with this character? Like, what do you see your character doing? Because like, it's not good. Whatever it is, it's not coherent.
Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the way that Ricky's been behaving recently does make me think that he wants people to start saying Ricky is quiet quitting.
Yeah.
It's not even that he's just actually quiet quitting. He's like, and they should comment on it, and they should wonder where the real Ricky has gone, and he's going to WWE the first chance he gets. Okay, buddy, you just calm down. Nobody thinks about you that much.
Do not threaten us with a good time.
Get on out of here, buddy boy.
Climb in that cage, and they're gonna lift it up with you in it too.
Oh yeah,
I
to
hope
that
you
big
wrestle.
old cage in the sky.
I hope you wrestle Lexus King for the next 10 years.
Well, I heard he's actually come a long way at WWE with the help of the Performance Center, Leah. Okay? And he got veneers. So, also on Dynamite, we got 2 backstage promos with the Bucks. So one was I called an establishing character vignette where they were wearing some new suits. Although a quick pause. I did notice that Nick is wearing it was a full actual prom suit. But I think Matt was just wearing it was a suit jacket, but then it was black jeans underneath. And I don't know if that is a character grace note that I should be tracking, or if they're just trying to reduce, reuse, recycle.
I'm very interested because Nick is committed to these suits. Like, Nick is like, I bought one in every Skittles flavor there is, so enjoy the next couple months. But Matt, like, he wore that cardigan. Like, he hasn't really been, like, committing to a suit life entirely.
It is interesting when you think about it. Because remember when Nick was on a real romper tear and he was just buying new ladies' rompers every week and it was delightful? It's like maybe he's the clothes boy.
That may be it. The other thing I want to hit you with is just the idea that Nick knows he's looking pretty good in these suits. Like, against all odds, this look is really working for him. And poor Matt is the bravest man alive, actually, because you know what he looks good in? Hair. He looks good when he has beautiful, glossy waves just cascading over his shoulders, and he's got a half up or he's got a high bun. He looks so juicy and luscious and just like a little snack when he's got that hair, and he has so bravely said, I can't have it for this bit. I can't have it for this bit. So the hair has been tucked away, and I think that maybe he is not feeling as confident in the space as a result.
I think that's right. Something about the hair being so tightly bound at his nape is making...
The nape.
Is making...
Right at the nape.
It's a real Samson situation for Brett here.
It's really like for a lot of that promo, I just kept looking at Nick and being like, he's so handsome. Like, he's really like, his eyes, that raspberry suit made his eyes pop. And I was like, is he the only man I see? Is he the only one on camera right now?
I can't believe you say that.
I'm sorry to Matthew, but I'm sorry to Matthew Ron Jackson.
Oh, Matthew Ron John.
You've bravely chosen to let your brother take the the spotlight. And for that, I applaud you. And Nicholas, I hope you enjoy my attentions.
I think we all applaud Matthew Ranjan, and I think that we all miss things we used to see that we don't get to see now. We don't get to see the bulging muscles, and we don't get to see just his beautiful hair.
I'm never going to be able to see them wrestle again.
I doubt it very much. No. I don't think they wrestle anymore. I don't know what the deal is. They got to wrestle someone soon, you'd think, but maybe not. Is that good commentary, do you think?
Yeah.
I would like
a little lukewarm sentiment for her.
Who can say? Let's talk about the rest of what they did backstage really quickly, which was so they had that segment, and they're just being like EVPs, and then they did the segment where they had gotten Renee to ask Darby what he admires about the Young Bucks, and Darby was like, "What the fuck?" And then they came on over and were like, "Great job, Renee. Thank you so much." Darby, you're the face of the company. You are the epitome of change the world. Like, you're our guy. You're our sweet little boy. Why are you palling around with this old man? He's going to be dead soon. You should be hanging out with us. You should be our third. You should be in a trio with us. And Nicholas said to Darby, he said, all jokes aside, Darby, we've been back for a month now, and you're ducking, you're dodging us, you're being unprofessional. You got a problem with us or what? Darby said, no offense, but there's only one thing on my mind, and that's the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I will say I gave him a little bit more of a perky affect than he had. He actually then kind of like slid out of the frame. He didn't want to be there so bad. And Matthew Jackson, Ron John Jackson, said, is that right? I guess we're going to have to get his attention a different way. I can only hear this in a Tobias Funke voice. I guess we're going to have to get his attention a different way.
What on earth was that supposed to mean? Like, what do you think he meant by that?
I have to assume with wrestling. I have to assume wrestling related.
So you don't think it's a wet mustache that they're going to use to get his attention?
And please, wet goatees. They have goatees. Okay, that's right. So, and I guess I don't know who would be getting wet, and we shouldn't be going down this road, to be honest. I'm sweaty. I don't feel good. We have to move forward. Any thoughts on the dynamic?
They also told Darby that they too had a goth phase in high school, yes, so they could all team up. So that's nice. That's
I gotta go rewatch.
I would like to see some. I would like to see some evidence of that.
I'd love to see some evidence. This is a perfect time for a little photo package, I think, but Tony and Deonna style.
I want to say something. They're fucking liars. They are lying.
For sure, they're lying.
You don't think they ever had a goth phase?
No.
I think that they are. This is what bosses are always doing. They're lying to try and ingratiate themselves to you. Classic. That's what it's like to be a cog in the machine. It's just someone with power over you is lying about having had a goth phase.
Classic boss stuff.
and then
capitalism,
saying,
am I right, ladies?
And then saying, I guess we're gonna have to get his attention a different way.
I think that we did manage to get the fine idea out into the world. That
we spoke it into existence.
I loved that. I hope that they continue to find people.
Yeah,
that rocked. I thought everything that they're doing with this gimmick is so great, and they're doing Toni Storm. I mean, they're obviously they're not copying Toni Storm, but they are giving me a little something slightly different, slightly new every week, which they've always done even before Toni Storm. But they're doing a great job. They're doing so good.
Imagine going back 6 months and saying someday you'll be like, and the Young Bucks are following Toni Storm's example, and we're proud of them. I'm glad that we're not Dave Meltzer, because the shit that would be getting quoted out of context from our podcast.
When the aggregators get a hold of this one, ladies, it's going to be all over.
Do not aggregate. No. What do you think a Bucks plus Darby trio would look like? What do you think the vibes would be there?
I literally can't imagine. It makes me so happy.
It's really
so funny.
I was thinking about it and I was like, well, what the Bucks love is to have like a man they can flank, and they kind of like to be like actually like a step behind that man and to just be like, look at this man that we're presenting you with, and then we kind of like wrestle with him and wrestle for him. To imagine them pushing Darby into that role, he would look so pained. He would just be like, why am I in the middle of you? Why am I at the front in the middle of you?
Darby
why
just
are
like
you threatening me?
Witnessing the Bucks entrance. I feel like everything about it, he would just be like, I can't participate in
the
this.
Stupid, like,
the little poses.
The poses, and they have to do, like, Darby has to do some pose in the middle of their things. Oh my God.
Sting is such a cool dad for Darby. Like, he drops Darby off at school and he doesn't say anything embarrassing. He drops him off like 2 blocks away and lets Darby skateboard to school. The way that this would be an opposite dad situation where he's like, I'm in 12th grade. You cannot walk me to homeroom. You cannot walk me all the way to homeroom.
And like,
we can't wear matching outfits when you walk me to homeroom.
They're like, Darby's getting to homeroom and they're showing up with a brown paper bag like, Darby, you forgot your lunch. And it's like got a note written on the outside that's signed like, love Matthew and Nicholas.
Yeah. And it's like a Lisa Frank lunchbox. Let's be real. Let's be real. Well, so I don't think he'd enjoy it, I guess, is what I'm saying about the situation.
I would.
Yeah, I think it would be very fun to watch. And I will say I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But who can never be sure. And then we don't even really have to talk about this. We just had some OC best friend stuff going on where, it was like more skirmishing with Roddy and OC. OC beat Commander. And Roddy tried to bribe Commander, but it didn't work. So then Wardlow fought Commander and won. And then Roddy was like, you should have taken our deal. And then Best Friends had to come out and save Commander. And that's the whole story. And Wardlow is injured.
Yes.
The end.
He hurt his knee.
How sad.
Hurt his knee.
It's too bad. So we won't be seeing Wardlow. What a shame.
Well, we probably will be in that faction. It doesn't matter if you're injured. You're still showing up to work.
And meanwhile,
multiple people out in wheelchairs.
And somebody will be like, yeah, Chuck Taylor can't take any of them.
Chuck Taylor, it's too weak. Can't even get in the ring this week.
Dustin couldn't take Adam Cole in his current condition. All of Best Friends came out. So, and we even had our extras. So we had little, the man, Rocky Romero. He came out, and so he's in the ring, and Greggy's in the ring, and OC's in the ring, and I was like, Dustin came out, where is he? And it's just like lurking ringside, not getting in the ring. Was it because it would be an uneven number of men?
That's what I thought, but it wouldn't have stopped him. If a normal thing would have been to jump up on the apron, but then just hang on to the ropes and not necessarily try to stare anybody down. But Dustin was like, injury. No. Yeah, he's like, I'll be down here, thanks.
Back away from the cameras.
I know,
like,
it really does feel sometimes like he's like, I actively do not want to be on camera. I'm ducking out of range. I just want to see you. There's nothing wrong with it.
Best friends they're going to...
The way we've been beaten down and we don't even, like, beg to be allowed to watch him wrestle or take off his shirt anymore. We're just like...
Imagine.
When you walk down the ramp, could you try to let the camera glimpse you?
Just stand in the ring. Just stand there.
You really triggered something in me, and now I have Sexy and I Know It stuck in my head. It's the rest of my night.
Nice.
Best Friends are going to speak on Rampage, yes. And
they are going to speak.
I don't know what they're going to say.
I know. I'm excited to see. Dustin was in the graphic about speaking, which is crazy.
I know, but I'm nervous that it's like they're going to speak, and it's just going to be Greg being like, we're broken up. I don't know. I'm stressed. I'm high stress.
I know.
And I think OC is going to lose to Roddy.
It's so demoralizing.
I do think he's going to lose to Roddy. Because, like,
to Roddy.
I know.
Strong?
I know. But I said this from the beginning that he was going to beat Mox, and then there was no way he could lose the belt to someone on Mox's level. And That is what's happening. Is that like
well,
he's gonna have to
lose
it to Roddy because Roddy's gonna need the belt to do whatever next thing that they have planned, and it makes sense to get the belt off of Roddy somehow. But it is like, what a fucking step down.
But he could have lost to someone that he had history with. Like it's like he could have lost to even like if you brought to Yuta. Obviously, that's my vote. But like if you want it to be someone like high level, like. Maybe Pac's going to be back soon. You could have him lose to Pac because they have all that history.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you have high level options that it's like, it would be like, no one's saying that that's Mox, but you were destabilized mentally. Like, he's not destabilized by Roddy.
Well,
that's,
and like
that's funny. That's comedy. Ha comedy. The idea of being destabilized by Roddy Strong.
And it's so demoralized to like lose in service to like a Roddy push where like Roddy's storyline hasn't been working for like 6 months, but we're still doing it. It's like
I know.
I'd rather have him lose to like Lee Moriarty than that situation, but whatever.
Someone recently said that Roddy, like the whole thing that made his stuff with Adam Cole great was that he there was emotion there where you really believed that like he wanted Adam Cole's friendship and didn't know how to get it, and like now he's just a catchphrase, and you're like,
he shouldn't.
He is not
he
doing a Toni Storm thing.
Confident that he has Adam Cole's love.
Yeah,
no, men should so rarely feel confident in wrestling that they have another man's love, except for Mox and Eddie and best friends. And best friends should always feel confident that they have each other's love.
They should. Yeah.
True.
But the one thought that I did have was that if best friends did a semi-breakup angle, which they never should do, and if they fight each other, they should get back together at the end. Okay, I'll put that out there. But I would not mind seeing a Deonna Toni slideshow of their long history together on TV.
I'd like
which
to
no
see
one would
some
show
little,
me. But
no, some little 20-something pictures of Dustin.
See those little babies?
Yeah, some little babies in a basement somewhere, drunk.
Yeah.
You only get to see them when Dustin posts them once a year and then deletes them within
he
12
posts them for
hours.
Rosie's birthday once a year and they all get deleted. Wow. I don't even know if he did that last year. Anyway, I think that's everything. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think we covered it pretty thoroughly. Some might say a little too thoroughly. I'm a little nervous about what was said, but nevertheless, I have been Allie.
I've been Ann.
And I've been Leah.
This is Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email at tunneltalkpod@gmail.com, on Tumblr at Tunnel Talk Pod. You can subscribe to us via the Social Suplex Network feed or just in general, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can come hang out with us on the Social Suplex Network Discord if you feel like it. And we have a lot of pictures of bats that our wonderful listeners have been drawing for us. I'm so obsessed with all of you.
Oh my God, I know.
Thank you for hanging with us.